there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one's about cake. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Yelling at My Wife in Front of My Family for Putting Salt in My Mom's Birthday Cake? Oh my. So, my wife, 24, is the main cook in the apartment. She cooks whenever we have guests over, and for ages, Mom has been complaining about my wife not adding enough salt in her meals. My wife would take it personally and start a fight over this small comment my mom makes. Anyways, my wife and I hosted dinner weeks ago and Mom made the same comment about my wife not using enough salt, though my wife swore she did and said she was careful with salt, but Mom still insisted food was tasteless. Hey, time out. Mom, add your own salt. That's why there's a salt and pepper shaker on the table. Game on. Now, the family were divided on this, so we couldn't really decide if my wife really used enough salt. My wife started crying after they left, saying Mom was being deliberate with this salt remark to make her look like a bad cook, but I told her that's not true and she needed to let it go, and she did. Hours later, she forgot about it completely. For my mom's birthday, my wife offered to make the birthday cake, saying she found a really great recipe on a cooking blog. Mom wasn't excited for the idea, but I told my wife to do it, thinking it'd be a nice gesture to help them get past their conflict. We went to my mom's house and brought the cake. During the party, my wife insisted my mom be the first to taste the cake. Mom grabbed a piece, and once she put it in her mouth, she immediately got it out while spitting in the plate. We freaked out and got her some water while she was yelling that there was salt in the cake. I looked at my wife, and she said she had no idea what my mom was talking about. I immediately went to get a piece and taste some and found out that it was full of salt. It tasted horrible, absolutely horrible. Still, my wife acted confused, but I told her how up it was for her to put salt in a cake. She said that since Mom was obsessed with salt, then she figured she'd prefer it over sugar in her birthday cake. I was flabbergasted. I blew up and berated her in front of my family till she took her bag and went home. My sister said it was all right and that my wife was probably feeling frustrated and wanted to make a point with my mom. I went home and she refused to speak except to say that I hurt her by yelling at her and that I should have told Mom off when she kept making remarks about her cooking, but I told her she acted childishly and ruined the birthday party and made an unnecessary scene for no reason at all. Now she's acting like the wronged party, but I let her know she has to apologize to Mom. Yeah, you know what? We'll whip this out right away. We get some petty confetti, some choppy petty confetti. I really need to rebuild this animation. It just struggle buses every second of the way, doesn't it? It's like it just can't do it. It's some petty confetti for sure. Now, here's where the real kicker comes in. Like obviously, Mom or mother-in-law in this case, I guess it's OP's mom, for her remarks. Like, you salt to taste, right? If you like things saltier, legitimately, you use the frickin' salt shaker. That's what it's there for. Making remarks over and over again just to take jabs at someone, obviously not cool. Is this a two wrongs make a right kind of situation there? Not saying it wasn't warranted, but is it a two wrongs make a right situation here? He didn't have to take mother-in-law's side, though. Agreed. So I think that this is another one of those occasions where the title question isn't the real question. The question should not be, am I the astronaut for yelling at my wife in front of my family for putting salt in my mom's birthday cake? The real question should be here, am I the astronaut for siding with my mother every single time and not my wife? And for that, yes, you are, OP. You are an asshole for that. That is not cool. Your wife is feeling completely alone, which is why she took the drastic action that she took. She knows she shouldn't have done this, but what choice did she feel like she had except to retaliate? She was backed into a corner. Was she not? All cakes have at least a pinch of salt. She did try to talk to him. Sometimes petty is the only way to drive a point. Tell hubby he could start cooking. For siding with Mom, and even here at the very end, it's not. There's no question of Mom apologizing to her. The only question is she has to apologize to Mom. That's what OP ends this with. So, I'll answer the actual question. Am I the astronaut for yelling at my wife in front of my family for putting salt in my mom's birthday cake in the context of knowing that you have sided with your mother every single time leading up to this point? And have not been on your wife's team at all coming into this? Yeah, I think you are. Where, though? Where? I think it's at least a 2. He definitely shouldn't have done it. Is it 1? I don't know that I can call it a 1 because if he is, he's likely been manipulated to side with his mom, which mommy's boys do often. Does it make him evil or does it make him manipulated? A hard 2? like in need of some fiber, Sergeant Mac. I'm going to stick with 2 here and give him a little bit of grace because I want him to get his head out of his ass. It might be hard. It might be difficult with all of his hard number 2s up in there, but hopefully he can turn this thing around, realize that he's been siding with his mom at every single turn and be like, you know what, honey, you're right. She needs to apologize to you as well. I'm not saying that what OP's wife did was right. It was petty. She felt like she was backed into a corner, though, and she felt like that's the only action she could take. It's either that or just submit and be this woman's punching bag for the rest of her life. And she wasn't about to do that, so she took a stand. Took a stand in a petty, very salty way. Yes, it was salty. However, she knows it wasn't right. She knows. But that's not the thing in question here, right? It's not the thing in question. She played it off. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. What kind of animals crave salt? Because reading this, I was like, oh, mother-in-law might be a slug, but they reject salt. Like, they hate salt. So I don't know. She would have like shriveled up and foamed. What salt? Horses like salt licks? Kate and Thunder, I crave salt. Horses, deer, goats. Okay, well, maybe she's got a little bit of that in her. You never know. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one from the AITA subreddit is titled, Am I the Astronaut If I Don't Want to Pay for My Husband's Law School? Oh dear. Okay, to start off, I am a 28 female and my husband is 38 male. He's been jobless for a few months, but just landed a 6-figure job in Missouri. Our plan has been for me to finish school, 2 more years of my engineering degree currently doing, work in the field for a couple of years, then try for a baby. Well, I ended up getting pregnant a few months ago, and in the end, we decided to keep the baby. Our decision was that I would stay home with the baby during the day, not work, and take a couple night classes a week to finish my degree. My husband has always been encouraging about my finishing school, but now wants to go to law school out of nowhere. Mind you, he already has $40,000 in student loans, a home foreclosure, a recent eviction, and bad credit. We are living with my parents right now until the move because of the eviction. He moved into a very expensive apartment and spent every dollar he earned. I had to cover everything when he lost his job, and it is way out of my budget. I didn't pay rent when I first moved in. I always offered, but he always insisted I focus on school. Our new apartment will have to be in my name. On top of that, now he wants to randomly go to law school in the middle of all of this? I still have my FAFSA to pay for school and currently work as a server. He will be paying the rent while I'm pregnant and can't work. Well, some of my financial aid will go to expenses. Maybe I'm being selfish, but it seems unfair of him to spring his lawyer dream on me out of nowhere, especially while newly pregnant. He wants to do it soon because he feels old, 38, but our next couple of years are going to be financially stressful enough. We have been through a lot financially, and all of it due to his irresponsible spending. He is filing for bankruptcy soon, but still hasn't yet due to money issues. I also don't see how he is going to have time for a newborn, law school, and his new job. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom forever. Nothing wrong with it, just excited to use my degree, get out of serving, and also chip away at his debt. It feels unfair for him to add more financial stress when he caused the issue we are currently in. Our kid will be around 3 when I plan to rejoin the workforce, so I also feel like I'm making career sacrifices by taking less classes per semester and postponing internships to stay home with the baby. I just feel like an asshole for dissuading him from becoming a lawyer because he has always been supportive of my schooling and swears this is what he wants to do with his life. He thinks it's unfair for him to support me through school and for me to not do the same for him. FAFSA is paying for my school. We would be paying for his. It's just so annoying because we randomly get hit with a baby while I'm the only one working. He finally gets a good paying job after us struggling for months, so I thought we'd be able to catch up and breathe, but then he pulls this out of nowhere. My question is, am I the astronaut for not wanting him to go to law school? No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. First of all, yeah, her FAFSA isn't necessarily a grant. I mean, it can be student loans, it can be Pell Grants, it can be lots of things. FAFSA is just the form you fill out that determines your financial eligibility, right? It's been a while since I've been there. It's been a while since I've been in college. You don't get this gray beard for nothing. No, the issue is not not supporting him during school when he supported you. First of all, he hasn't finished that. You're still doing school. If you're going to do the whole I supported you so you can support me thing, first of all, he's got to start supporting you. Letting you live at his place without paying rent at the beginning when he ends up getting evicted from the place. And now like you guys are both saddled with all of his debt and his bad decisions. And he wants to go make another one. Be like, excuse me, sir, you aren't allowed to make decisions for a while. Because every time you've made a choice, you have put us in a worse and worse and worse position. Every single one of these decisions from now on needs to be a discussion. And this is not something where you just be like, hey, you know what? I think I know what I want to do. I know I just landed a 6-figure job, but I really want to go to law school. Cool. You know what? It's good to have dreams. It's good to have things that you think you want to do. However, sir, you have a responsibility to your family first. And if you've already agreed to support your wife while she goes to school, you have to see that through first. Once that's done and she's able to start supporting the family, then bring it up again. And maybe the time will be right. The time is not right now. If you were financially ahead and had a nest egg and were in a position where you could do this without causing your family harm, that's a different conversation. That's not the case at all. You've already done so much harm to your family and put them in the position that they're in right now. Now you want to do more. It feels like a freak out. And this might be a first-time father freak out. We read a lot of stories that I get the first-time father freak out vibe from. It could very well be part of that. It doesn't explain all of it. It doesn't explain everything leading up to this moment, but it could explain this thing right here. Maybe he's looking ahead and he's like, I want to have a stable future to be able to support my family. Okay, I understand that. Dude, you just landed a 6-figure job, and those aren't exactly common in Missouri. So why don't you start there and start there instead of venturing on a new journey that doesn't give you the ability to earn any income until several years down the road. And then you're going to be paying back a huge amount of money. Take care of your family first. OP, you are not the asshole for not wanting to support him going to school. No, because it's not the right decision. It's not the right play. It's not the smart play. Just no. I don't know how you communicate that to him. How do you communicate this to him without it just sounding like you're just saying no and shitting on his dream? I think the father angle here is at least the thing that would create the most amount of internal pain and hopefully create some change in the way that he's thinking. You have a responsibility to your child. That's in here. Start there. You've already made progress by securing this job. He hasn't even gone there yet. They're moving to Missouri soon because he just landed this job. Why would you, just having achieved something great, want to be like, you know what, I want to undo that, and I want to take 3 more steps backward. That's what I want to do. What could be causing this desire? He's afraid to fail again. He's not being responsible. There's a time and place to try something new. Right now is not the time. I agree with that, Stacy. Definitely agree with that. Self-sabotage, Rebel Wolf. That is definitely some self-sabotage. Like he achieves one good thing and then immediately decides to implode it, unless he's already done something to screw up that opportunity and he's already lost it. That's entirely possible too. Self-sabotager. Okay, so here's the next question. What drives self-sabotage? Fear of failure? And at that point, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, is it not? He could go to college online after work. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if he wanted to work that direction, yeah, he's got to get accepted first, but he could chip away that direction. We don't even know that he has the prerequisites completed in order to apply to law school. There are prerequisites, right? He could chip away at those at night. But again, he's going to have a new baby to take care of as well. Like the amount of time you're going to have after hours to take classes and stuff is not going to exist. And OP understands this because she's already trying to spin several plates at once. Let's assume for argument's sake that he has done nothing that is a prerequisite, including taking the LSAT, including taking any kind of prereq courses at a standard 4-year university degree. 4-year degree university. That's what I meant to say. Christine, full-time law students aren't allowed to work. There's all kinds of evidence stacked up against him doing this. And for it just being a whim, for it just being a dream, it's the general erratic behavior that has me most concerned, right? It is his his behavior leading up to this point, and this is just the newest in the latest series of eccentricities. It is the latest eccentricity for him, which gives me a lot more discomfort about his ability to be a stable father. There are bigger issues here. So, OP, you are not the asshole for not wanting to pay for your husband's law school. That's not the real issue. There are much bigger issues here. And I feel like you're going to have to pull out some tough love. This is going to take some tough love to communicate with him. And if he tries to guilt you by saying that he supported you, that's a commitment he's not yet through with, because you're still in school. And kind of seems like he has trouble following through with his commitments. Bring that up. See this through. Finish something before you start trying to take on new things. Let's just focus on finishing things first. Let's focus on cleaning up the mess that you've made, and then when we're in a place that's more comfortable, then we can address the next steps in the future and the things that you want to do. We are not yet to the position where we can decide to pursue wants. We are in a position where we have to address needs. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you from AITA again. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Fighting with My Husband While He's Away for a Bachelor Party? Oh, this doesn't seem right. That seems like a party foul to me. Now, if he was like sending you pictures and stuff of what was happening during the bachelor party and it was getting a little risque, that would probably prompt some at-present fighting. But we shall see. My husband, male 40, and I, female 34, are currently in a fight over his behavior at a bachelor party. I'm pregnant and possibly more emotional than usual. We usually text throughout the day, replying within minutes. He flew 2,000 miles for the party, and on one day he was slow to reply, 40 minutes to 1.5 hours, with short answers. I wasn't bothered initially, knowing they might be busy. However, after texting him asking their plans and being left on red for over an hour, I checked his location on Find My Friends and saw that he was at a day club pool bar. He finally texted saying that they had just arrived downtown for dinner, which was clearly untrue. When I called out the lie, he admitted that they were at the day club but were heading to dinner. The short text continued. The next morning, they were golfing, so I didn't expect much communication. I spent the afternoon with friends and learned that 2 weeks prior, he attended a strip club with the same friends during an overnight trip I wasn't on. He had told me that they were at a bar that evening, but did not mention going to a strip club. I don't care that he went to a strip club. It's the lack of transparency that bothers me. This news, along with the short text and the earlier lie about their whereabouts, set me off. I texted him about the strip club, and he FaceTimed me with his friends vouching that nothing inappropriate happened, making me look like an overreacting wife. He claimed the omission was at the groom's request to avoid pre-wedding issues, yet all the other wives knew. I ended the call more upset due to the lack of apology and feeling gaslit. He texted saying he doesn't keep secrets from me, and then stopped texting entirely. After 2 hours, I sent a passive-aggressive, well, good night, I guess, text. He replied that he thought the issue was resolved, then did not contact me for the rest of the evening. The next morning, I texted saying I felt like he'd been distant and ignoring me all weekend, asking why he didn't message me when they were out or returned to the hotel. He replied that I had killed the mood and made him miserable, accusing me of being unreasonable and embarrassing him by checking his location. He also said he couldn't wait until my girl's trip in 2 weeks to apply the same pressure, implying it's a competition. My trip, being 20 weeks pregnant and sober, will look very different than his, but maybe that's irrelevant here. He dramatically claims he rarely goes out with friends and will just stay home if we're going back to not trusting each other. Well, going back to not trusting each other, there's an interesting slip. Am I overreacting and being unreasonable? Am I wrong for wanting transparency? Am I the astronaut for picking a fight while he's away on a bachelor party trip? You know what? Damn. I was wrong again. I'm going NTA. I'm going NTA here, and this is the biggest reason why. She's pregnant, you dumb f***. If your wife is pregnant, you need to have your eyeballs glued to that damn phone. First of all, I wouldn't have gone. I mean, 20 weeks, maybe that's safe. That's safe. Or I would feel nervous about going, but I'd go. But if your wife is pregnant, dude, you better be responding like pretty damn quickly because you never know what kind of communication is going to be needed there. I would want to know that. But also, there's a slip here at the end going back to being untrusting. That's a hint at something that we don't know about, but there's clearly some kind of issue seated there already. And he clearly wasn't being 100% transparent. Now, in general, I would say, look, if you're out with your friends, like leave that person alone and let them truly enjoy the time. That's the general approach here. This is different because she's pregnant, number one, but number two, he either tried hiding something or was pre-notifying about where they were going. I don't know. It was shady. And him trying to turn it back around on her to say that she killed the vibe. She killed the vibe. So him turning it back around her direction is just a classic deflection, right? Like there are a few things that he has done and said here that give the red flag vibe to me. But overall, I don't give a shit about any of it because if she is pregnant, respond in a timely manner and don't be a dick about it. Why would you cause more drama here instead of just being like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like, I was telling you where we were heading, not where we are now. And yeah, there's just communicate in the first place. It's not that hard to do. I enjoy communicating with Candy Thunder. You know, hold up. Either Mikey and her come up here because I want to hear your thoughts. Hey, an unprompted appearance by Candy Thunder, ladies and gentlemen. So why were you surprised?
I just felt it was like it was an ESH. I think that she is being a little bit over the top, which can make him feel the need to hide something maybe. But I do feel like she's being a little bit over the top in her reaction, but he's also doing something that is making her feel like she has to be over the top. So it's like a vicious circle between the two of them instead of just clear communication. Hey, I'm pregnant. You're going on this weekend, which is 2,000 miles away. For my own sanity, can you please let me know what your plans are? Like, what are you doing? Can you give me a rundown of the day? Like, just so I know what's going on. Something like that, if that's what makes her feel. But he's not doing anything to make her feel more comfortable. So in turn, it makes her seem overbearing, which I think she sucks way less than him. But I think at the same time, like, they have to learn how to communicate. Because right now, they're not effectively communicating where both of them feel like they can get what they need out of the relationship because she's pissed and he's pissed, but he doesn't realize that what he's doing is leading to her being pissed. He just thinks that she's being overbearing. And instead of just saying, hey, I feel like this is what you might need to be comfortable in this relationship, he's like doing the exact opposite and hiding stuff, which in turn makes her escalate. So to me, it's like they're just not communicating.
I feel like pregnancy communication is not difficult. Like I tried to over communicate during pregnancy because every bit of it scared the shit out of me. But if you're having trouble now, boy, just wait because it's about to get a whole lot harder and you're going to have no filter and you're going to have a lot harder time communicating once that baby is here.
And I agree. And I think people have every pregnancy is different. And I think as women or anyone should respect that every pregnancy is different. While one may have been easy for you, maybe it leads to a plethora of intrusive thoughts for another person. For me, I had a lot of like intrusive thoughts and like thinking things that I would never normally think, not like bad stuff, but just getting pissed off for no reason. And I could sense what was happening. I could understand it, but I think I don't want to be so quick to blame pregnancy, but also you can blame
It's got to
pregnancy.
be a contributing factor.
It's a fine line. So I think being respectful in general of the fact that every pregnancy is different is very important. But I don't know. I think there's so many problems that can be solved by just communicating effectively. And that's not a one shoe size fits all, one shoe fits all. I don't know what the saying is, but it's something there. That's communication is different for every single person. So you have to understand how your partner communicates and communicate in a way that makes them feel seen and heard. And if you don't do that, you end up with a vicious circle of ineffective communication. And I think that's what's happening.
One shoe fits the gander. Let's go with that. Just blend three together. What's good for the goose? Good for
I don't know what a gander is.
I see what you're saying. And there's some comments on here like, is she expecting him to check it every hour. It's a bachelor weekend. I don't think that was the expectation. I think he started giving the sus vibe with him behaving differently. And it wasn't you know what, if there was going to be a day where it was like, hey, I'm with the boys today, we're doing boys things, like I'm going to be pretty much incommunicado because it's a boys thing. And if I pull my phone out and start getting lovey-dovey with you, they're going to tear me to shreds. That would be a conversation we would have ahead of time. And I would set some expectations. Here it is a lack of communication. It's also a lack of expectations being set. If they had a plan going into this, they both could have contributed to that plan and had an understanding. Instead, if it was just kind of fell together as it went or fell apart as it went.
Yeah, but it seems like if he didn't tell her about the strip club, that this has been going on a lot longer than probably even before the pregnancy.
Hello there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the Dusty Thunder subreddit. Would you look at that? And is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Change the Date of My Daughter's Birthday Party to Accommodate a Friend? I, 36 female, have a friend, Mila, of 5 years, 35 female. We share the same cultural background and together with our partners have shared many social activities over the years. Although we live on opposite ends of the city, almost an hour apart. We've shared intimate details of our personal lives, and I've always appreciated her acceptance and support as I healed from a very difficult, no-contact family situation. When I got married 2 years ago, she didn't hesitate to help organize the wedding and be a witness for our marriage certificate. It was the sweetest surprise to find out on our wedding night that I was pregnant. A couple of weeks later, Mila video called me to announce the news that she too was pregnant and was about 3 weeks further along than me. I was delighted. Every week we'd text each other for pregnancy updates. It was so nice to go through pregnancy with a friend. Fast forward to when our babies were a few months old. We managed to meet up for brunch once, but the weekly texts had stopped. Soon I began seeing photos on social media of her out and about frequently with two mothers from her local parents group, Sal and Gia. I, too, had a parents group, but it wasn't all that socially active. Mila previously had mentioned that I should come over to her house for a play date and stay all day since I live so far away. But a few weeks later, she changed her offer to a short visit of just a couple hours. I was disappointed, but drove the hour across town and back to see her anyway. On another occasion, Mila invited me on a group trip to the zoo last minute. When I got there, I couldn't help wondering whether she'd invited me because Gia dropped out. I got along fine with Sal. During our introductions, I mentioned my daughter's birth date, and she exclaimed that her son's was the same. A few more months went by, and the contact between Mila and I became sparse. Every time I texted her to start a conversation, she would say she has to go do something and then end it fairly quickly. Meanwhile, she, Sal, and Gia became best of buds, doing just about everything together. Then Mia traveled overseas. While abroad, she kept in regular touch with Sal and Gia by text and video call. I got no messages. Our babies were around 9 months old now, and it was time to begin plans for first birthdays. I sent Mila the invite to my daughter's party more than 2 months in advance. She informed me that she had already been invited to Sal's son's birthday party on the same day at around the same time. I asked her what she wanted to do, and she said she wasn't sure. A few minutes later, she texted to ask how big my party was going to be because Sal was having a big one, and she'd hate to miss it. Dismayed and hurt by this line of questioning, I kept my cool and replied that we were having a low-key event with close friends. A few hours passed, and then she replied, I know it's a stretch, but do you think you could change your party to the following day? I really want to wish my daughter a happy birthday. Gobsmacked and further wounded, I responded with, sorry, no, we prefer to celebrate my daughter's birthday on the actual day. I'm now reconsidering our friendship. I feel like I've been utterly disrespected by Mila and sad at the thought that motherhood has driven us rather apart than bringing us closer. I think she stopped putting effort into our 5-year friendship now that she has a new local clique. So I don't want to change our plans and bend over backwards for someone who would probably not reciprocate. Am I the astronaut? Yeah. No, okay. No, you're not the astronaut for not wanting to change your kid's birthday party. I don't think that's the issue here. I don't think the birthday party is the issue. You're not an asshole for not doing that. And she said she knew it was a stretch, so she didn't expect you to do that either. It was just an option she was throwing out. Now, in your friend's defense here, she's trying to have a foot in both worlds still. Like the other world has consumed her, clearly. And because it's there, it has proximity. She's able to be friendly with him more often. You're not that far away though. She could reach out more if she wanted to. My question for you, if I may be so bold, is you talk a lot about her not reaching out to tend this relationship. You talk a little bit about you reaching out and trying to initiate conversation as well, and her cutting that short, which I understand, but how much more effort beyond that have you given? It can't all be on her, and it can't just be like she's busy, so our conversations are kept short. Also, people grow apart. Life gets crazy, especially when you have kids. It is really hard to maintain friendships. It really stinking is. And if she has a local clique and they do things together, I think you already know that organically takes on a life of its own. You already know that your lack of proximity with her makes her more likely to do things and grow closer with them. You already know those things. I think the big issue is that you don't have those things and she does. If you had those things locally as well, I don't think you would not care, but you wouldn't be bothered by this situation. It's the fact that she has those things and you don't. So there's additional sting to it, right? You're not an asshole. I think you have to understand that this pain you're feeling is not just the realization that a friend has moved on and that their life has changed and they've outgrown the life that you guys used to have together. It is the understanding that she is doing that because she has something that you do not. And there's probably just an extra sting with it there. You're not an asshole. I don't think your friend's an asshole either. Her throwing out the option of you moving, it was her only chance at being able to come to your thing too. So understand that. She wasn't trying to be disrespectful to you. That's not the vibe that I get, at least. She's trying to hang on with this relationship she has with you by a thread and still trying to keep at least something there. She probably could do more, but life is freaking busy. And it sounds like her local clique here has her pretty wrapped up and busy as well. So maybe there just needs to be a really honest conversation between the two of you and be like, look, life has taken us different directions. And I think you need to be honest with her and be like, look, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you have this. I need you to understand that I don't have, and that makes it hurt just a little bit more. And maybe that will lead to more inclusion by her with your friend group. Maybe it will. Maybe that could lead to a solution. If you guys are real friends and can tell each other what you truly mean, it could lead to a solution. I don't think either one of you are assholes here. If there was an EDSH, I would use it. Everyone doesn't suck here. NAH, no assholes here. Why did I automatically I automatically read that as a doctor in a scene who is trying to perform some kind of exam, and he's like, there are no assholes here. Response to the title is refusing to change the date. No, that's an NTA. We talked about that. It's an NTA. You're not an asshole, OP, for refusing to change the date of your daughter's birthday party, and she didn't expect you to. She said she knew it was a long shot. You're also not an asshole situationally here, and I don't think your friend is either. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you again. This one, again, from AITA. We're going to get some feedback from Tony Spark on this one. Holy cow. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Sending a Venmo Request for Babysitter, Hotel, and Uber Reimbursement After a Dry Wedding? I can't imagine why Tony would want to give feedback on this story.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, I imagine you do. A friend from college got married this past weekend. The wedding was 45 minutes from my house, so my wife and I got a hotel room. We checked in, had a few pre-game cocktails, and Ubered from the hotel to the venue. We sit down, and the wedding happens. It's beautiful. We go to our social hour, as it's called, and there is no booze. Turns out this was a dry wedding. There was no indication that this was a dry wedding before showing up. I checked the digital version of the invite and website, nothing indicating this. I'm pissed for a few reasons. I might not have RSVP'd if I knew this. I'm pissed I blew a few $100 on a hotel for the night, babysitters and Uber. I'm like, what the Other friends that were there grumbling and felt similar to me. The night went on and the wedding was fine, but honestly a bit of a bummer. Now that my wife and I have kids, nights like this are rare, and I was pumped to do something, so we dipped out a bit early and went out. Other friends rolled with us. We left in the middle of the dancing time and didn't stay for the exit. Later that night, I sent a Venmo request for the cost of a babysitter, hotel, and Uber. Yesterday, I heard from my college buddy. He was like, "What the f*** is this, asshole?" I explained I was mad that this was a dry wedding. The bride had family that were alcoholics, so they opted to not have alcohol as an option. I told him that was need-to-know information. Not informing us of that cost me and our other friends a lot of money. He said I should have asked him and not assumed it was a wet wedding. I said to him, alcohol is a default option. If you change the default, you tell people. He disagreed with that notion. I said, you drink. Why would I think it's dry? We went back and forth for a while. He still thinks I'm an asshole. Am I? And here to give some feedback on this wonderful story is the one and only Tony Spark. Let's get an introduction going for him now, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Tony Spark!
I have some thoughts on this. I'm going to be honest. I have some thoughts, and maybe you guys think of the reaction that I'm going to give would be that OP is not the asshole. But let's get into that. First off, a dry wedding is an unfortunate event. I'll be honest. Like, I get it. If you want to have a dry wedding, that's great. You probably, like, let me give you a little experience. I was in a wedding, one of my best friends, and it was going to be a dry wedding. And we were all very confused by this dry wedding because his family drinks, her family drinks. They're both Catholic. Most of y'all know how that goes. So we were excited for the wedding and the party and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, it's going to be a dry wedding. And the reason why it was a dry wedding is because it was at a venue that did not allow alcohol, because it was a venue that his bride-to-be wanted. To be fair, me and my best friend offered to pay for alcohol for the entire wedding, and we found him a venue, and they were going to give him a venue for free. Didn't change, whatever. But they were super cool about it because they were like, hey, it's a dry wedding, but the venue has even said, like, you just can't drink in the building. Keep in your car. Our groomsmen gifts were like little Yetis with our names on them and stuff, and then with booze in them and all that, and it was taken care of, and that's fine. I think what OP did here is kind of an asshole move. I think that I understand being upset I understand being upset that it was a dry wedding, because I'll be honest, it makes weddings less fun. I get it. I know that you don't have to drink to have fun, but that's the best part of a wedding. Like, I'm not going to go to the wedding for the mushy doves flying, flowers, and people standing up. Like, it's great. You love each other. Fantastic. That's amazing. Happy for you. Super. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of your love, and it's happy, and it's beautiful. But let's wrap it up and go to the party, because that's when everybody has fun. You don't have fun sitting there in the church. So you want to go have fun. But, yeah, I don't think... Dusty, you said I would say that OP was not the asshole, but I think this is an AskCon 2 move.
whoa.
Because even though it's a dry wedding and you may be disappointed, to send a Venmo request to the groom and be like, listen, your wedding was boring and I didn't like it, so I'm going to need you to go ahead and pay for me having to be there. Like, that's a dick move.
Agreed.
That's a dick move. So, OP, what you should have done is you just take an Uber. That's fine. But you know what you should have done? Just drive your car there. Put a cooler in the back of the car. Get together with some of your other friends. Maybe one of the other friends. He's saying he took an Uber to the deal. Maybe one of his other friends didn't. Whoever's driving there, pack a cooler. You guys go out in the parking lot, have a few beverages back and forth in between. No big deal. I'm sure the groom honestly probably wouldn't have cared. They would have rather you did that than send him a Venmo request and be a dick on their wedding day. Like, they don't want to deal with that.
He did it later that night, so he was blitzed when he was like, you know what? I'm going to send that fucker a Venmo request right now.
I mean,
it's going to be for the babysitter.
I'm going to say,
hotel.
I would have done it maybe as a joke, but I don't think this guy was joking. But there you go. That's a great comment. There's other ways to elevate that aren't alcohol. You could have taken that, gone Uber to the wedding, still had a great time and not had a drop to drink. But listen, I'll probably go to the wedding if it's a dry. It's not a deal breaker that I'm not going to go to the wedding. I'm not going to have fun. I'll be honest.
Wait. So how? Okay.
Like, I'm just not going to have fun.
Google Queen Cat, they didn't know it was dry. Yeah, we're aware. I think it's how he handled that information. Instead of just going out and partying with the buddies and being like, yeah, that blew. It's the Venmo request. The Venmo request.
Somebody says $1 as a joke, sure, but not the real price. Yeah, that would have been funny. I think that would have been funny. And have been like,
yeah,
here, you're buying me a drink because I'm at a bar now because you had a dry wedding. So, but yeah, no, it was a dick move. Dick move by OP here. I I mean, you can give him shit. I mean, we gave our buddy a lot of grief for it, and he just played right along with it, and it was fine. And his bride was right along with it. He played along with it. We had a great time. Funny story at that wedding, we're all there. Pretty much everybody at this wedding, most of them are Catholic, especially on his side, all of our friend group. We're all there. And this is kind of like we're kind of all sitting around twiddling our thumbs at the wedding. Now, granted, while we were getting ready for the wedding, we went to the bar early.
They pre-gamed too.
We pre-gamed. We pre-gamed. We had a cooler behind the church. It was a whole thing. So we go to the wedding and we're out there at this outdoor thing. Of course, you got to go take all the pictures and all that stuff, which is not fun when you're not drinking, taking photos in the woods and dressed up in suits, all of that, whatever. So we're standing there with the priest, who we all know really well. And one time I said, "Hey, Father Jay, what's the chances of like a water into wine miracle at this wedding?" And he was like, "I'm afraid that's a little above my pay grade." I was like, "Well, I tried, but."
Respect.
Yeah. So OP,
Holy cow.
ASCON too. You guys thought I was gonna come out here and just completely say like, I'm not saying you have to have alcohol to have fun, but again, a little. If you would have just had a little heads up, maybe
Beg my finest pardon. I was wrong.
a little heads up would have been good. Then he could have properly prepared for the wedding. Like that's the thing. We knew it was a dry wedding going into it. We were prepared. We knew what to do. The bride and groom made sure that we had everything we needed to have a great time, and we had a great time. But yeah, don't have a dry wedding.
Don't have a dry wedding.
Don't have a dry wedding.
Oh. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one is from AITA and is titled, "Am I the Astronaut for Telling My Wife She Sucks with Money?" Probably makes it worse that I say it like that. Okay, my wife, 30 female and I, 32 male, got into an argument yesterday regarding her spending habits, and she is giving me the cold shoulder. My wife likes to buy things and is an impulsive buyer. She gets this from her mother, who is the same way. I, on the other hand, look for deals or don't mind buying them secondhand. When I go grocery shopping, I price match or find things on sale where she doesn't care about the price and just purchases. The one that gets me all the time is she'll buy 1 pound of strawberries from the grocery store for $5.99 when there's a price match for $2.99. She doesn't purchase expensive things, but the things she buys for herself or our daughter just add up. I budget and she blows it. She also wants to travel the world, but does not take into consideration our current debt. Rewind to yesterday. We found a photographer on Instagram to do photos for our daughter in which she has preset packages, similar to the ones for schools. She sent us the watermarked proofs of the photos and in the pictures, in which we can only pick 2 poses per package. My wife likes 10 of the 30 pictures and wants to buy multiple packages. I told her that I would call the photographer to see if she would be willing to send the raw photos of the 10 poses so that we could print whichever she would like to print. Oh, you don't ask a photographer for the raws. Ever. How dare you? She replied, "Why are you always so difficult? Just pay for the packages." I replied that it would be close to $700 for these prints. I then told her that her budget is always for this type of behavior and she sucks with money. There was a back and forth. She called me an asshole and slept in my daughter's room last night. We didn't communicate verbally, over the phone, or through text all day. Her sister texted me saying that she is on my side, whereas her older sister and younger brother think I'm the asshole. Why is the extended family involved now? When she came home, I got the silent treatment for the majority of the evening. We didn't have dinner together. When I was washing my dishes, she left her plate on the stove and I turned to her to say, the raw pictures for the 10 pictures cost $400. She called me an asshole and walked upstairs. I left the house, but it got me thinking, am I the astronaut? No, but yeah, for asking for raws, don't do that. Don't. If you hire a photographer or a video person, don't ask for the raw. Just don't. It's a no-no. The interpretation that the artiste, photographer or video person, their interpretation is what happens in the coloring, not just in the framing, not just in the click, not just in the data that is stored on the memory card. It is in the coloring. It is in the finished product. And asking for the raw is asking them to give you a 25% baked pie or cake. It's goo. Don't do it. However, that's an asshole move, asking for the raws. You just don't do that. You are not the asshole for telling your wife she sucks with money. because she does. You guys have budgets. Now it might be an ESH actually. This might end up being an ESH because it sounds like communication is a real issue here. You're beating your head against a brick wall because whatever constraints you've tried to impose here, she's not following. It's just not happening. So find a system that does make sense to her. Find a system that she will follow. Find something that works for both of you. Right now, you're trying to follow the way that works for you, and she's trying to follow the way that works for her. Obviously, that's putting you in a precarious position financially here. Obviously, that's hurting you both as a couple. It's hurting you as a household. I understand that. Like, she's causing you damage. I get that. She's not right. That's asshole behavior on her part, ignoring the limits of reality that you have tried to put in front of her. I think there's also an obligation here for you to take this as a learning moment, though, and to say, okay, if she doesn't understand this, how can I do this in a language she does understand? There's got to be some way to shape this beyond just clamping down, because the next step in your current approach here is to basically like cancel her cards. You know what I mean? Limit her control or access to the money. Her pulling in the family and being like, I'm going to get my family involved with this and see what they think, and then have them message my husband. I'm like, that's an asshole move on her part as well. So she's climbing up higher than you on the ASCON scale by pulling in the family, by just not listening, by just calling you an asshole, not seeking any kind of solution here at all. She's the bigger asshole. But I think there's something that you can do differently here as well. I'm going to stick with NTA for you here, because I don't think you've tried to this point. You might be the only one trying. However, I would love for you to look at this and be like, this is a challenge. How do I achieve this in a way that makes sense to her, in a way that gets her on board? How do I get buy-in from her and make this something she does care about? It's a challenge. And I think if you look at it that way, you can probably come up with some other options and start thinking of play to your audience here. You built a system for you. Build a system for her. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again, this time with the Best of Redditor update story. This one is parents opened up several credit cards in my name while I was away at college. They racked up more than 15 grand in debt, and now they want to kick me out because I brought it up. Originally posted May 9th, 2024. I guess this is a lesson in paying attention to my finances. After having just finished my freshman year of college, I came back to my parents' house for the summer. My mom made it a habit on Monday and Tuesday to make sure she got to the mail before I had a chance, even running from the kitchen Tuesday to make sure I didn't get it as I was expecting an Amazon order. Freshman in college? What kid turns 18 and they're like, sweet, new lines of credit? Today, the mail came kind of early, and there was a letter from a collection agency addressed to me. I only knew it was a collection agency after I opened it and discovered I supposedly owed nearly $5,000 on a Capital One card I have no idea I was ever signed up for. Once I got done freaking out, I called my dad at work and asked him what to do. It was weird when he said to talk to my mother about it. He didn't seem happy at all, but I didn't think much of it. Once my mom got home, I asked her about it, and she said she and my dad opened up a few credit cards in my name for household expenses. She said she thinks I owe around $10,000 to 3 different credit card companies. I checked my credit, and it turns out I owe over $15,000. What? Mom says it like it's no big deal. She's like, yes, we opened up a few cards in your name for household expenses. And then said that OP owes the money. I'm like, oh. I think you owe $15K. I think you owe 10, but it's actually 15 for household expenses that have been incurred while you haven't been here. We ended up having a huge argument about it with my mom saying her parents did this to her when she was 18. She said that I could file for bankruptcy and that it wouldn't hurt me because I wouldn't be trying to buy a house for several years. I'm interested in going into a government-related job, and a bankruptcy would probably disqualify me for it. She knows this, but doesn't seem like she cares. My dad got home a couple of hours ago, and they talked to me together. Either I can declare bankruptcy once they spend up to the credit limit of the last card with any credit on it, or they said I could move out at the end of the month. What? I just feel like it's incredibly unfair because it doesn't sound like bankruptcy will actually do anything for my credit and possibly sink my job opportunities. How can I get my credit score back to where it was, which was around 720? And how can I get this to not affect my credit going forward? Relevant comments here. Comment, that's identity theft. It's a felony. The ball is in your court. You could easily have them arrested and you could lien their property. Comment, not sure if this is another comment, but I'll write this out. 1, these pieces of shit. You owe them nothing now. This is an egregious betrayal of you as a person. They are trading your financial future for some new shit in their house. F them. 2, you're a tenant and they can't just kick you out. They have to evict you. If they change the locks, throw your stuff away, or anything like that, call the police for an illegal eviction. 3, absolutely record the next conversation you have on this subject. Use the voice recorder on your phone, but record the conversation. 4, go to the police and file a police report with your evidence. It will be able to be removed from your credit and hopefully land them with some jail time and a big fine, hopefully. 5, f these people. I have 3 kids and I can't imagine ever stealing from them. Update June 10th, 2024, 1 month later. This is bullshit. And the first thing that I thought of was it's identity theft. Now, I don't know about OP being a tenant because unless there's like a formal rent agreement, I don't think that tenant rights probably apply to them, but we'll see. Squatters' rights, but he's been away at college. Update June 10th, 2024, 1 month later. I ended up taking the advice of the vast majority of people here and filed a police report. The officer took some printouts of everything as evidence. Once I had the report, I called all of the places listed on my report and gave them the report number. The 3 credit card companies all took it and were pretty cool with it. The collection agency wanted me to make a goodwill payment so they could start investigating my claim that it was fraudulent. Of course they did. They said they could still sue me, even with the police report, if I didn't cooperate with their fraud report. I refused, obviously, as I don't want them to be able to take money out of my bank account. I'm also pretty sure the collection agency has nothing to do with like those charges being proved fraudulent. They just get paid whenever they collect. So you did the right thing there. I never told my parents that I went to the police, and for a couple of weeks, they had no idea. Right after Memorial Day, they received a call from a detective, and everything blew up. After the call, they began screaming at me, and my dad started literally throwing my things out of the door. I called the police at that time, and they showed up and told my parents if they wanted me to leave, they would have to evict me. I came home from work the next day, and the locks were changed. I called the police again. My parents refused to open the door and said all my stuff was at my grandparents' house. I received another report number for the unlawful eviction, which I was told was a civil issue, and got my stuff from my grandparents. Luckily, I have a friend with a couple of spare bedrooms, and she said I'm welcome to stay with her for a couple of months. I'm scheduled to move into my own place in about a week. Once I get full tally of the total cost of everything, including moving, I'll be filing a civil lawsuit against my parents for unlawful eviction. I was told by the same detective my parents didn't seem very truthful with anything, and the state's attorney's office will be in contact in the next few weeks regarding identity theft charges. He said he believes that they will likely prosecute probably as soon as this week. If that's the case, they, or more likely just my mom, will be issued a warrant and have to spend at least a night in jail. No matter what, I feel as though I made the right choice. Additional information from Original OP after reading comments. Original OP. I'll post another update if my mom ends up getting arrested and or if my civil suit has any action on it. I appreciate everyone's advice in the OP. Commenter. For what it's worth, you probably spoke to a collections agent who lied to you about them needing a good faith payment to start investigating. 1, no good faith payment is needed to investigate a situation like this, especially with a police report. 2, the moment you pay them, they legally classify you as accepting the responsibility for the full amount of your debt. 3, credit card companies and their debt collectors cannot sue you. They will just put it on your credit report and harass you. Oi. And let's get some feedback from the one and only, the gorgeous and incomparable Candy Thunder.
I don't think there is a single person in chat who would ever do this to another human being, let alone their own child. Like, how could you are setting your child up for failure to do this to them? And not only like this mom had the opportunity to break the cycle of what her parents have done to her, and she chose to just do it because that's the easy road to do this to your child. And what did you buy? Like, what did for $15,000 in
household expenses?
And they're only 18, so they must have in 1 year. Like, what? It's like they just did it to buy shit. I don't even understand.
Either buying shit or they got themselves in a pickle and had like had their AC break or something, and they're like, oh, we'll open up a card in her name to cover it and survive.
And once you do it once, I feel like they took that as an opportunity. Like they got away with it once, so why not do it again?
Then
and
it becomes
again.
like their line of credit.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I pushed the keyboard in. How are you still moving away
it's
from
the
everything?
microphone. It's in my bubble.
Well, the microphone needs to be in your bubble.
I understand.
Okay, I'll put it way back here. Is that better? Can it be up there and not feel like it's in your face?
That's fine. Okay.
I'm trying.
And agreed with what they said about the debt collection, the good faith payment. That was such a line of crap. And knowing what had happened to this person, the collection agency is like, we still need a payment from you, even though we understand. Like, fuck you.
I'm pretty sure they get a commission whenever they get you to pay anything. So of course they're
know.
like, I'm not really giving a
it
shit
works.
about anything but you making a payment of some kind.
Also, can you imagine being someone who's 18, like fresh, like at college, you come back and your entire life has exploded, like, and you probably never going to have a relationship with your parents again. You have nowhere to live, and you now have debt that you didn't even rack up. And your parents, the ones who promised to love and protect you for the rest of your life, are actually the ones who did this to you. Like that is a fucked up situation.
It is entirely fucked up. The whole my mother or my parents did it to me. I'm like, hey, okay. Right now, OP's madre, I'm guessing that your parents did a lot of shit to you that you loathe them for. So why would you try to create that same torture for your own child? Why would you repeat the cycle?
Yeah.
Why was it ever an option? Like what like I feel like our job as parents are to try to help our children get ahead in the world as easy as possible. This was making it so much harder for them and putting them like several steps behind and giving them massive challenges to deal with for the rest of their life. I mean, that's doing the opposite of what a parent is supposed to do.
It's really sad. I can't imagine doing anything that would hurt my child like on this level. I can't even imagine the thought process behind, like the entitlement behind, well, you can just file for bankruptcy. Like it's just free money. That's not free money. Like, and you know that that's not how the world works.
So it gives a little bit of like the betrothal contracts, you know what I mean? Betrothal contracts where essentially children were betrothed to another child in another family, but there was some kind of deal struck there too. It's like they traded their child's future for some goats or wheat for 3 summers or something. You know what I mean? It's like
we're watching Bridgerton right now, or Queen Charlotte, in case you can't tell.
They cashed in their child's future.
Yeah.
They did the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just not shit that you can do anymore. And I would imagine that, even if you do get it removed from your credit report, you're going to get it removed from a version of a credit report. This is going to be something that follows you around for at least a decade. And if you are trying to purchase a home, the title company is going to be like, hey, we're going to need to see all of the evidence that clears you from this. This is going to haunt you for a long, long time. Like your parents is going to haunt you for a long, long time. This is a no contact.
And I feel like this, if this had happened to me, that would create trust issues. People that you're supposed to be able to trust with your safety and who are supposed to love you unconditionally just
acting selfishly,
just did this to your, and like that has got to create issues with trust.
Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.